Dr. Alara Miles adjusted the collar of her diplomatic uniform as she stepped into the council's grand hall, a stark contrast to her usual attire of casual researcher's wear. The air was thick with tension, a palpable presence among the gathered delegates from various star systems. Beside her, Ambassador Ronan, a seasoned diplomat, offered a reassuring nod. Today was supposed to be a celebration of peace, a treaty signing meant to usher in a new era of cooperation between humanity and the Galactic Council. But Alara's instincts screamed that something was amiss. The Council's leader, a towering Threxian named Varn, began the proceedings. "We gather here under the great banner of peace," he boomed, his voice echoing off the metallic walls. Yet, his eyes, dark and unfathomable, didn't match the warmth of his words. Alara felt a chill run down her spine as she scanned the room, noting the heavy security presence. As Ronan stepped forward to speak, the unexpected happened. Mid-sentence, he was suddenly surrounded by guards. Alara's heart raced. Her mind struggled to make sense of the unfolding scene. Before she could react, Varn announced, "This human has been found guilty of espionage against the Council. The penalty is immediate execution." The room erupted in chaos as Ronan was dragged away, his protests drowned out by an uproar from the assembly. Alara's shock turned to horror as the sentence was carried out then and there, Ronan's screams echoing as he was consumed by fire from a ceremonial weapon. The message was clear: this was a demonstration of power, a warning to humanity. Back on Earth, news of the execution spread like wildfire. Humanity's government, the Earth Federation, was in uproar. Military leaders and politicians alike called for immediate retaliation. As a close friend and colleague of Ronan, Alara was summoned to an emergency meeting. General Hawk, a grizzled veteran of interstellar conflicts, slammed his fist on the table. "We must strike back hard and fast. Let the galaxy know that no one messes with humanity." Alara, still reeling from the loss of her mentor, found herself caught between her pacifist ideals and the cry for vengeance. "We need to think this through," she urged. "There's more at play here than just an execution. We could be walking into a trap." Her words fell on mostly deaf ears, the room filled with cries for war. But she caught the attention of an influential senator, Maris, who nodded thoughtfully. "Dr. Miles is right. This could be exactly what the Council wants. We need a strategy, not just brute force." The decision was made. Humanity would go to war, but under Alara's leadership, they would do so strategically, aiming to dismantle the Council's power without unnecessary bloodshed. Alara formed a war council, drawing on her extensive network of contacts, including those sympathetic to humanity's cause from other oppressed planets. As the war preparations began, Alara worked tirelessly to form alliances. Her office became a hub of activity, with communications and plans streaming in from all corners of the galaxy. She reached out to the Ilari, a race skilled in espionage, and the Tvak, known for their advanced technology, laying the groundwork for a united front against the Council. One evening, as she reviewed battle plans, a covert message arrived from a contact within the Council's own ranks. It was a game-changing piece of intelligence, revealing that the Council was divided, with several members uneasy about the decision to execute Ronan. Alara saw her opportunity. She called a secret meeting with her closest advisors. "We have a chance here not just to fight, but to turn some of their own against them. We can sow discord within the Council, weaken their resolve," she explained, outlining a plan to infiltrate the Council's communications network. The operations were risky, involving stealth missions and hacking into secure channels. Alara coordinated these efforts from behind the scenes, her days and nights blurring into a continuous stream of strategy sessions and crisis management. During a critical operation, Alara's team managed to intercept a transmission meant for Varn. It was from his second-in-command, expressing doubts about the war with humanity. Alara knew this was the leverage she needed. She broadcast the message across the galaxy, exposing the rift within the Council. The response was immediate and dramatic. Several member races of the Council reached out to Alara, expressing their desire to join her cause. As alliances formed and battle lines were drawn, Alara found herself at the center of a galactic upheaval. Through sleepless nights and relentless work, Elara continued to push for a more strategic approach. Each move was calculated, every alliance forged with the dual purpose of strengthening humanity's position and exposing the Council's weaknesses. As the first major battle loomed on the horizon, Elara stood before her makeshift coalition, a diverse group of beings united by a common goal. She delivered a speech that would be broadcast throughout the galaxy, not just as a call to arms, but as a promise of a new dawn, a galaxy where cooperation and peace were possible under just leadership. The war was just beginning, but already, Elara had transformed from a diplomat to a leader of a revolutionary force. In the face of overwhelming odds, her resolve only strengthened, driven by the memory of Ronan and the burning desire to see a galaxy free from tyranny. The War Council convened under the dim light of the strategic room, with Elara presiding over a holographic map of the galaxy. The room buzzed with the languages and murmurs of various alien representatives, each contributing their piece to the intricate puzzle of war. Elara, with a calm yet steely gaze, addressed her diverse audience. Today, we unite not just in opposition to tyranny, but to forge a future where none will face the oppression we have endured. Elara began, her voice firm and inspiring. Our strategy will not be one of mere retaliation but of calculated strikes to dismantle the Council's infrastructure, piece by piece. Her finger traced the lighted paths on the map, indicating their first major target, an energy hub on Delta 3, which powered a significant portion of the Council's military installations. This is where we strike first. A blow here will cripple their fleet's mobility and give us the upper hand early in the conflict. A Yalari delegate, cloaked in shadow, leaned forward. Our operatives can infiltrate their security systems. We'll disable the hub's defenses before your strike team even enters the atmosphere. Elara nodded appreciatively. Thank you, Yalari. Your stealth is unmatched, and it will serve us well. Turning to a rugged TVAC engineer, she continued. Once the defenses are down, I need your best demolition squads to take the facility out of commission. The TVAC thumped his chest in agreement, a gesture of solidarity and readiness. As the plan solidified, Elara's communicator buzzed, an urgent message from her intelligence team. She excused herself, stepping into the quiet of her adjacent office, where the message awaited. It was an intercepted transmission from inside the Council, a desperate plea from a lower-ranking official who feared the war's escalation. The official spoke of a secret weapon, something that could end the war quickly but at a tremendous cost. Elara pondered the implications. Using such a weapon could save lives in the long run but at the cost of the moral high ground she aimed to maintain. She made a decision, one that defined her not just as a leader but as a human. She deleted the message, choosing a path of harder resistance but greater honor. Returning to the Council, she rallied her team. We have opportunities to end this swiftly with tools of immense destruction, but we will not walk that path. Our fight is not only for our freedom but for our souls. We will not become what we despise. The room, filled with beings of different moral codes, fell silent, processing her words. It was a TVAC who broke the silence. Then we will support you, Elara. Lead us with honor, and we will follow. The planning continued, with teams designated and roles assigned. Elara worked tirelessly, ensuring each detail was addressed, from logistical support to the psychological welfare of her troops. She communicated daily with her frontline commanders, offering words of encouragement and tactical advice. As the first operation commenced, Elara monitored the progress from her command center. The Yalari successfully disabled the hub's defenses, allowing the TVAC demolition team to proceed. However, as victory seemed within grasp, a distress signal blared. The team had been ambushed by a Council elite force. Elara's heart sank, but she remained composed. She immediately redirected nearby support ships to assist. The battle was fierce, and losses were incurred, but the mission ultimately succeeded. Delta 3's hub was destroyed, severing a vital artery of the Council's military might. The victory was bittersweet. Elara mourned the fallen but knew their sacrifice had not been in vain. This first success galvanized her coalition, drawing more support from those who had previously sat in neutrality. In the aftermath, Alara received communiques from several planets, their leaders expressing a desire to join her cause. With each new ally, her forces grew, as did her responsibilities. She spent long hours strategizing, her office a constant whirlwind of activity. One night, as she reviewed reports and casualty lists, a personal message arrived from an unknown sender. It was a simple note, but its words struck deep. "For Ronan, and for all of us, thank you." Tears welled in Alara's eyes, not just from grief but from the weight of what they had undertaken. She wiped them away, strengthened by the reminder of why she fought, not for revenge, but for a dream of peace. The days turned into weeks, and each operation advanced their position. Alara's leadership was stern yet compassionate, her decisions shaping the course of the war and the spirit of her people. Through battles won and lost, through alliances made and broken, she remained a beacon of hope and strength. As the crucial Battle of Xander loomed, a decisive confrontation that could turn the tide of the entire war, Alara prepared her coalition for the possibility of a great victory or a crushing defeat. She addressed her troops, her voice echoing across ships and stations, reaching thousands of ears. "Tomorrow, we face our greatest challenge yet," she declared, her image broadcasted widely. "But we stand together, diverse in form but united in purpose. Fight well, fight with honor, and no matter the outcome, know that you have already changed the galaxy for the better." The Battle of Xander would indeed be remembered, not just as a clash of fleets and armies, but as the moment when a galaxy, fragmented and oppressed, found unity and strength in a human's resolve, under the leadership of Dr. Alara Miles. The War Council's chambers buzzed with anticipation as Alara Miles stood before the gathered allies, a mix of human and alien faces all united under a common cause. Today, she was not just their leader but the emblem of their collective resolve. Alara cleared her throat, her voice steady and authoritative as she addressed the room. "Today, we enact a plan that not only aims at crippling our enemy's capabilities but at securing our future in this galaxy," Alara announced, her eyes sweeping across the attentive crowd. "Our targets are the Council's communication arrays spread across the Nebulan sector. Taking these out will disrupt their command structures and sow confusion." A hushed murmur swept through the chamber as the strategic importance of the mission sank in. Each array was heavily fortified, located on planets that were bastions of Council power. The risks were immense, but so were the potential rewards. "I need volunteers for this mission," Alara continued, her gaze piercing the crowd. "This is not just about destroying physical structures, it's about sending a clear message. We are not just survivors, we are changers of fate." One by one, hands raised in the air, some tentatively, others with resolute vigor. Alara nodded at each volunteer, her heart swelling with pride yet heavy with the burden of the risk she placed on their shoulders. The operation was set in motion with military precision. Teams, composed of the best demolition experts from across the allied species, were briefed and dispatched. Alara remained at the command center, her eyes glued to the screens that displayed the progress of each team. The first reports were of success. The TVAC demolition squad had executed their part flawlessly, taking down the array on Delphi V with minimal resistance. Cheers erupted in the command center, but Alara remained focused, aware that the initial success did not guarantee overall victory. However, as the operation continued, unexpected challenges arose. On Talia 9, the team encountered a previously unknown defense system. Casualties were reported, and the mission there teetered on the brink of failure. Alara's heart raced as she weighed her options, her mind racing through possible solutions. "We have reserves on standby," her aide reminded her, a young lieutenant whose eyes were wide with the gravity of the moment. "Deploy them," Alara commanded, her voice firm. "And send in the Yulari cloakers. We need that array down." The decision was risky. The reserves were meant for the final push against the Council's stronghold. Using them now could jeopardize the entire campaign. Yet, Alara knew that momentum was crucial. A failure now could demoralize the troops and give the Council an opportunity to regroup. As the reserves moved in, Alara turned her attention to the remaining targets. One by one, reports of their destruction came in. The communication arrays on Sirona 3 and Vesta 6 were taken down, each victory adding to the growing sense of possibility that filled the command center. Then, a live feed from Talia 9 flickered on the screen. The reserve forces, supported by the Yulari's cloaking technology, had turned the tide. The array was destroyed, its ruins a testament to their determination and bravery. Elara allowed herself a moment of relief, but the battle was not yet won. Now we prepare for the Council's response, Elara stated, turning to her officers. They will retaliate, and we must be ready. The expected counterattack came sooner than anticipated. The Council, in a desperate bid to reclaim control, launched a massive offensive against the coalition's forward bases. The battle was fierce, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Elara watched, her expression stoic but her mind racing, as the reports flowed in. Through strategic deployment of her forces, leveraging the newly acquired advantage in communications disruption, Elara managed to hold the lines. The Council's forces, disoriented without their usual command structure, faltered. In the ensuing chaos, a critical opportunity presented itself. An insider, a council member disillusioned with the Council's tactics, reached out, offering valuable intelligence. This could be the turning point, Elara knew. With this new information, she planned a daring assault directly on the Council's leadership. It was a gamble, but one that could end the war swiftly and with fewer lives lost. She briefed her closest advisors, her plan meticulous, leaving no detail to chance. The assault was set for dawn. As the stars faded and the first light of morning broke across the galaxy, Elara's coalition launched their attack. It was a battle of both wits and weaponry, with Elara's forces pushing through the Council's defenses, using every bit of the intelligence provided to avoid traps and maximize their impact. At the heart of the battle, Elara received word: the mission was a success. The Council's leaders were captured, their command center seized. A cheer went up among her troops, echoing through the command center and across space. Elara felt a weight lift off her shoulders, the burden of months of relentless warfare easing at last. Yet, her thoughts turned to those who had not lived to see this moment, their sacrifices paving the way for this victory. As peace negotiations began, with Elara at the helm, she ensured that the new order would remember those sacrifices. A galaxy once divided by fear and tyranny would now be united in hope and mutual respect, a testament to the enduring spirit of all who had fought under her command. The war was over, but Elara's work was just beginning. She was ready to lead, not just in battle but in forging a lasting peace. Elara Miles stood before the newly formed coalition of worlds, her eyes reflecting the gravity of what had been achieved and what still lay ahead. The war had ended, the Galactic Council was no more, and in its place, a fragile alliance of former enemies and new friends convened to build a future founded on equality and respect. Today, Elara was not just a leader, she was a beacon of hope for a galaxy reborn from the ashes of tyranny. As we stand here today, on the cusp of a new era, we must not forget the cost at which this peace was bought. Elara began, her voice resonant, touching the hearts of all present. We have lost much, but we have gained the opportunity to create something lasting and beautiful for generations to come. Her words hung in the air, a solemn reminder of the past struggles and the futures they now held in their hands. The hall, filled with representatives from hundreds of planets, was silent, each member reflecting on their own journeys through the war. We are tasked with a great responsibility, Elara continued, shifting the tone towards the future. To build a governance that does not mirror the failures of the Galactic Council. We must be vigilant, we must be just, and above all, we must strive to understand one another. The task ahead was daunting. The old power structures of the Council had left deep scars on many worlds, and distrust simmered beneath the surface. Elara knew that the first steps toward healing would be the hardest. I propose the formation of a new governing body, where each world has an equal voice, Elara outlined. A congress where we discuss our differences openly and work together to resolve them. Murmurs of approval mixed with cautious skepticism filled the room. Elara acknowledged each with a nod, understanding the fragility of the trust they were trying to build. A Yulari delegate rose, his voice echoing a common concern. How do we ensure that this new Congress does not fall into the same traps as the Council? How do we prevent corruption and the accumulation of power? Alara smiled, appreciating the directness. Transparency and accountability will be the pillars of our new system. We will implement checks and balances, and no single race will have undue influence over the others. The discussion that followed was intense, each delegate presenting their views, their fears, and their hopes. Alara facilitated the conversation with a diplomat's grace, ensuring every voice was heard. It was a lengthy, sometimes contentious debate, but by its end, a preliminary charter had been drafted. As they moved to ratify the charter, an unexpected challenge arose. A faction of hardliners, remnants of the Council's supporters, launched a last-ditch effort to seize power. The news reached Alara as she was preparing to celebrate the charter's signing. Without hesitation, Alara addressed the coalition. "This is the test of our resolve," she declared. "We cannot falter now when we are so close to achieving true peace." Mobilizing her allies, Alara led a swift response. They quelled the uprising, capturing the hardliners without significant bloodshed. It was a clear demonstration of the coalition's commitment to maintaining peace and order. With the crisis averted, the signing ceremony proceeded. One by one, the delegates signed the charter, each signature a commitment to a new beginning. When it came time for Alara to sign, she paused, her hand hovering over the document. This was more than a formality, it was a vow. Alara signed her name with a steady hand, then addressed the assembly once more. "Today, we have laid the foundation for a galaxy where war is an echo of the past. Let us build on this foundation with every action we take, every decision we make." The ceremony concluded with a standing ovation for Alara, whose leadership had turned the tide of war and guided them to peace. But even as they celebrated, Alara knew that the hardest work was yet to come. In the weeks that followed, Alara worked tirelessly to establish the new Congress's framework. She met with leaders, mediated disputes, and helped integrate isolated worlds into the coalition. Her days were long, her responsibilities vast, but her resolve never wavered. Alara's efforts bore fruit as the new Congress convened for its first session. It was a historic moment, one that many had thought impossible. As the representatives took their seats, representing a kaleidoscope of species and cultures, Alara felt a profound sense of accomplishment and hope. "We are here because we chose to put our differences aside and work towards a common goal," Alara said in her opening address to the Congress. "Let this Congress be a place of growth, not greed, understanding, not unrest." As the Congress embarked on its mission to govern a diverse galaxy, Alara watched from the sidelines, her role as a leader evolving but her commitment to peace unwavering. She had led them through war, had been instrumental in forging peace, and would continue to guide as they built a future together. The galaxy was changing, and at its heart was Alara Miles, a woman who had believed in the possibility of peace even in the darkest of times. Under her watchful eye, the new Congress flourished, becoming a testament to the power of unity and the enduring strength of humanity's spirit.